Happy Mardi Gras! We're making king cake today. Laissez les bon temps rouler and happy Mardi Gras. It's Fat Tuesday today and we're making king cake. King cake is a sweet treat. It's a brioche dough that's often filled, frosted, and topped with gold, green, and purple sanding sugar. Today our king cake has two fillings, cream cheese and cinnamon. It's topped with super flavorful vanilla icing, and we're even gonna try our hand at making homemade sanding sugar. I associate king cake with some of the most fun times in my life, and that is Mardi Gras in New Orleans. It's traditionally served from very early January through Fat Tuesday, which is today, and there is a religious significance to it, and there is also a hidden trinket in it, and whoever unearths the hidden baby in the king cake is said to have prosperity and good luck throughout the year. I am on a quest to replicate the flavor and texture of the king cake I had when I was in New Orleans. At its most basic, king cake is a brioche dough that is filled, frosted, baked, and then topped with some purple, gold, and green sanding sugar. And today the king cake we're making is special. It's going to have both a cream cheese filling and a cinnamon filling. We're also gonna make an icing. I'm gonna try my hand at making some homemade colored sugar, and we're gonna twist the whole thing up into what I hope will be a beautiful, traditional looking Mardi Gras celebration king cake. The equipment and tools necessary for this king cake are really basic. I'm using a stand mixer because I have it, but I think you can make it completely by hand. And then to bake the cake, I have a silicone lined baking tray. The ingredients also are pretty basic and probably things you already have in your cupboard. This is a yeasted dough, so we'll be using some yeast. But other than that, it's just the basic flour, sugar, vanilla extract, salt, butter, milk, eggs, cream cheese. Pretty basic baking ingredients today. The first step is to get the dough going and proofing, and that's what I'm gonna start on right now. So I'm making two different warm mixtures, one melting some butter in some milk, and I'm just gonna pop this in the microwave with a little bit of salt. And then next we're gonna bloom the yeast. So a little bit of warm water, our yeast, and a little bit of the sugar that we're gonna use, about a tablespoon or so. And then I'm gonna mix this all together, set it off to the side just to bloom the yeast, give it a little head start, make sure it's active. Ooh, yeast is looking nice and bubbly. And our milk mixture has cooled down. So all of this with the paddle attachment is going to go into my stand mixer. Vanilla extract, sugar, 1 egg. Give that a little mix. Pay the egg tax. Do you want an egg? Okay, that's mixed up well. Now I'm gonna incorporate some flour, and I'm gonna do it spoonful by spoonful. We're not gonna use all of this flour, and this dough should be really sticky. Hear how the mixer sounds a little bit different? Time for the dough hook. The dough is still really moist, but it started to come together in a ball, which is exactly what we want. So I'm gonna reserve the rest of this flour just to help me when we roll the dough out later. And I'm gonna let my mixer do the work for the next 8 to 10 minutes until this forms a smooth, shiny ball. Shiny, springs back when I touch it. So I'm just gonna form it into a ball and then grease the bowl. And we're gonna set this aside to proof until it's doubled in size. Filling number 1 coming up, and that is a cream cheese filling. So into the bowl of my clean stand mixer with a paddle attachment goes cream cheese, a little bit of softened butter, vanilla extract, and just a little scotch of salt. I like salt with everything sweet, balances the flavor. So I'm gonna get these softened and creamed together and gonna add some powdered sugar, and that's the cream cheese filling. That looks beautiful. So I'm just gonna take this out of the mixer and set it aside. Back on for filling number 2. And the way this king cake is gonna work is that we're going to make 2 kind of cinnamon rolls almost with different flavors and then twist them together and make a ring. So the idea is that you get some of the cream cheese, some of the cinnamon, and a whole lot of king cake in every piece. This is the cinnamon filling, and so it's sugar, brown sugar and white sugar combined with a little bit of melted butter. Those 2 things mixing up. While they're mixing, I'm gonna add in some cinnamon. Okay, that's mixed well. I'm just gonna add some flour. This is gonna be more crumbly than spreadable, so it'll look a little bit drier. So I'm gonna set this off to the side, and filling number 2 is done. Next on the list, and the second to last component, but after this we kind of just get to play, is icing. So this is what's gonna drizzle over the top of the king cake, and it's what our colored sanding sugars are going to stick to. So this should be a pretty loose, kind of pretty traditional powdered sugar icing. So a couple tablespoons of butter, vanilla. I love this homemade vanilla because there are specks of vanilla pods through it. It's my favorite. Some milk, a couple tablespoons, and then powdered sugar. And I'm gonna add just part to start because we're looking for consistency here. It should be quite runny, and I wanna make sure I don't go too far to start, and I need the attachment for my mixer. Paddle attachment procured. So we're gonna whisk this up now. Give her a little scrape down. So if you go too far one way or the other, if it's too loose or too tight, you can add a little bit more milk or a little bit more powdered sugar until you get the consistency that you want. That feels about right to me. We can adjust it a little bit later if we need to when we're actually frosting the cake. My vanilla is bourbon-based vanilla, which I absolutely adore, and which seems pretty appropriate for Mardi Gras. Bourbon Street, drinking bourbon, all things bourbon. So this has a tinge of bourbon to it, which I just absolutely love. Okay, we'll get this out of the mixer, and then we're gonna play and try to make some colored sanding sugars. Okay, it's playtime, and as you can see, I've already started playing. We are making colored sugar to sprinkle over the top of our king cake, and it's going to be in green, gold, if we can get there, and purple. And each of those colors signifies something: faith, wealth, justice, I believe. I'll have to fact check myself. But all I did was add some of this gel food coloring to a little bit of just regular granulated sugar and shook it vigorously. It's looking pretty bright green, which is exactly what I want. The problem is not all of this gel food coloring has dissolved. So I think I'm just gonna run it through a sieve and see what happens. This is very tedious. So the thing with working with food coloring is you have to be really careful because it will dye literally everything, as its name implies. So I usually wear gloves, but I think I'm gonna avoid touching it today, so we should be good. Okay, I'm just gonna discard all of that. That's color that didn't get dissolved, but look how vibrant green that sanding sugar is. Okay, we're gonna try to repeat that with the violet and with the gold. I'm gonna reset up for those. So the sugar looks a little bit moister than I want it to. So I'm just gonna put some paper towels down and let it rest on them. So maybe any of that extra moisture can get wicked out. Sanding sugars, done and ready. So we're just waiting for our dough to finish proofing. It probably has another 30 minutes, and then we're gonna put this whole king cake together. My favorite part of making yeasted doughs is the reveal. Okay, on the bench in front of me, I have some flour. I have our cream cheese filling, our cinnamon filling, and a Silpat lined baking sheet. And we're gonna start getting going, rolling out this dough. So I'm looking for a big rectangle from this dough, about 10 by 16. And then we're gonna cut that 10 by 16er into 2 long strips, and we're gonna fill those strips. Okay, now I'm gonna cut about down the middle, and then we're gonna roll that way. Cross your fingers. Did okay. Okay, so cinnamon sugar first. So I'm gonna roll this way. So I wanna leave a little bit at the edge. Whew, she's gonna be stacked. Had some spillage, which is okay. Number 2. As always, my little offset spatula comes in clutch. It smells so good. I'm excited for some king cake. We roll again. Perfect. Okay, now the goal is to twist these around each other and form a ring, which feels like it's gonna be a very delicate operation. Can I do a mini patch? Is that a thing? Not bad, not perfect, but not bad. So now we move it to baking sheet. Cool. I think that's as good as I can do. I think the more I play, the worse it looks. So this now needs to rise for another like 30 to 45 minutes. So I'm gonna cover it, set it aside, and it's gonna go in the oven. Very exciting. She's risen nicely. Gonna go in the oven at 350 for like 20 minutes probably, and then come out cool, ice, and sugar. It's time to decorate our king cake. It looks great. It's almost all the way cool. And I'm going to slide a couple pieces of parchment just to keep our serving platter a little bit cleaner. We got some decorations to do. So I'm gonna drizzle and then probably use my offset spatula a little bit to kind of coax. Okay, Consider her drizzled. And then there's kind of 6 distinct lobes of this cake. And so I'm gonna use the sanding sugar in that way. I'm just gonna sprinkle it over each of the lobes, if that makes sense. Really wanna use my hands, but I'm worried it's gonna dye my fingers. Oh well. I think we did it. Laissez les bon temps rouler. Happy Mardi Gras. We made a king cake. So no baby hidden inside our king cake, but anyone who gets a piece of king cake, in my opinion, is lucky and will be prosperous throughout the year. Time to cut into this bad boy and give it a taste. Let's see. I think I'm gonna go for right there, some yellow and purple. So you can see the cinnamon swirl, the cream cheese filling. Oh, it looks so good. Cheers. Tastes like a delicious, cinnamony, sweet, cakey delight. Tastes like Mardi Gras to me. I hope you're having a wonderful Fat Tuesday. And if you're in New Orleans for Mardi Gras or from New Orleans, I'm jealous. It's a beautiful city. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. If you like this video, please give it a like. If you want to see more, subscribe, stick around. I'd love to have you. And I look forward to seeing you here next time. Cheers.